Social media is an interesting and finicky beast that I think a lot of us use way too much of, but we also rely on to get quick and hopefully accurate information. I know I'm on social media quite a bit. My social media usage has changed from, year to year to year, and as which, outlet I'm actually using. Of course, I use YouTube every day with this broadcast, getting it out to even more people. People who listen to the program all across the state, not just here in central Illinois. So it's a great way to reach a lot of people. Twitter, I've used even more of recently, partly because Elon Musk purchasing it, saying it's a free speech platform. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit as to, the issues that are raised by some, even still on Twitter. But Twitter, for instance, I used it when I was in a courtroom listening to the Southern District of Illinois federal judge and the hearing against Illinois' gun and magazine ban. I was able to live tweet a lot of what was said and the direction of the arguments, and that was seen by people who couldn't be in the courtroom. So again, you can see the impact and the power that social media has, but you can also see how it can be used to limit debate on things. During COVID-19, for instance, seems like ages ago, but it's pretty incredible just to reflect back to even 2 years ago when you had people questioning the lockdowns and whether they hurt or benefited people, and those who said that it hurt people were suppressed on social media. If you raised questions about the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine, you had videos taken off of YouTube. I'd had that happen here on this YouTube channel. We were talking with the president of the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, and he said that he questioned the effectiveness of a vaccine because the vaccine was being required on individual police agencies across the state, and they didn't like that idea. They wanted the police officers to have that choice. And we talked with him. It was a news issue, and they were even suing. And YouTube decided to take that video down. So you see even the issues of election integrity. If some issues are raised about election integrity, those can get labeled and taken down. Well, it looks like YouTube is starting to, effectively, immediately, reverse that policy. Here's the headline from the Associated Press. YouTube to allow, quote, false claims of past elections. So YouTube will stop removing content that falsely claims the 2020 election or other past U.S. presidential elections were marred by widespread fraud, errors, or glitches, the platform announced on Friday. So ultimately, they said in a blog post that the updated policy is an attempt to protect the ability to openly debate political ideas, even those that are controversial or based on disproven assumptions. And I think anybody who understands the importance of free speech can truly understand the importance of having all voices out there. If you don't like what's being said, don't silence it. Come to the table with better ideas. Come to the table with higher quality speech. That's the, essentially the premise and the principles of free speech. If you don't like something that's being said, you have the right to counter that with higher quality information. But what we've seen too often during COVID, during the 2020 election, is these social media companies go and they suppress things. And the tactics that are used in this effort to suppress speech on YouTube, it was taking a video down, giving a strike to the creator if they had that video taken down. But there's another effort that goes to suppress speech, and that is shadow banning or limiting the reach. And this is something we've seen on Facebook and on Twitter. Before Elon Musk took over Twitter, there was a lot of shadow banning going on. And even the Twitter files that Elon Musk released through several journalists getting access to that information, he spelled out and showed through those reports that the federal government was working with Twitter to suppress speech they didn't like, which is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. And it dealt a lot with election integrity, or it dealt with stories before the 2020 election about, say, Hunter Biden's laptop, which that's another issue altogether, which there's a new website out, by the way, if you want to go and look at Hunter Biden's media. I think it's BidenLaptopMedia.com or something like that. Censored photos, but apparently it's photo. Anyways, we may talk about that a little bit later on. But the idea of shadow banning, you don't necessarily recognize it when it's happening because you don't see the posts that maybe you were there at the social media network to see. But shadow banning, at least on Twitter, seems to have been relaxed to a degree. Elon Musk even recently telling the Babylon Bee that he wants free speech, but not free reach. So if something is, considered too controversial or maybe offensive, it's not going to get the same type of reach that, just a post about flowers might get. All right. So even there, people say that's not really free speech, Elon. And there's something else, too, that's happening with Twitter that Vivek Ramaswamy has pointed out recently. And that is this thing called community notes. And Vivek Ramaswamy, if you're not familiar with him, he is a Republican looking to get the nomination for the president. And he recently posted about Ron DeSantis signing a hate speech bill, he says, earlier this year at his donors' request. And he blasted that, but there was a community notes here, all right? And community notes are notes that can pop up on a post to clarify things or in a way to kind of fact check things. So Vivek Ramaswamy not happy with this, and he put a long post on Twitter saying this is unbelievable, a move by Twitter to shield Ron DeSantis from legitimate criticism of his policies. Let's hope it's just another innocent mistake like they made yesterday with their controversial censorship of the Daily Wire, but it doesn't smell awesome. Ron DeSantis enacted a law criminalizing the distribution of certain kinds of literature on private property. That's a hate speech law, Ramaswamy says. So he goes on to talk about how Twitter used its platform to launch DeSantis's campaign and really giving a lot of credence to the power of Twitter to be able to do that. But even that post was checked by Community Notes, saying that Community Notes is not some kind of conspiracy. It's a group of users that merely go to try to fact check things and post on their posts a note about, hey, reader beware. This is the issue. And I've seen a lot of Community Notes touching on things from, this picture is not current. It's from, 2010, or this picture is a computer generated graphic, or it's a AI art or something to that effect. So you can see its usefulness, but others worry that social media is not necessarily being as free as you think. And you got to remember too, even back to COVID, what was it? The whole deal with the lab leak theory, and Facebook was blocking people from sharing. Hey, this COVID-19 may have come from a lab. Those posts were limited and suppressed. And then Facebook reverses policy. Will Twitter reverse its Community Notes policy? Doubtful. YouTube reversing its policy about controversial speech, questioning the legitimacy of elections. That's something else that is interesting to see a reversal of. So regardless, there's all kinds of other platforms. There's also Rumble, which is a video service, and that's a service that has a popularity amongst certain numbers of people. But it's also where I think a lot of YouTube creators are posting their content also, so that they can at least be safe from having their content taken down. I'll tell you, I do post to Rumble because of YouTube back in what was that? It was 2021 some point, whenever they removed that post that I had with the president of the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police. I made the conscious effort to go ahead and say, all right, I'm just going to post everything to Rumble as well as YouTube, so that if anything was to happen and poof, my YouTube channel goes away, people can still find that on Rumble. So if you're interested, you can find me anywhere, Bishop on Air. All right, Twitter, Hopefully I'm not getting suppressed. However, I have been victim of that. We had a story through the centersquare.com around the Mike Madigan case back, shortly before Thanksgiving. I think it was 2021. We monitored a House panel that had documents they were filing, and those documents included emails. And I think the headline was, "Emails show Madigan considered our friend in corruption probe." That was suppressed on Twitter right around the same time. Well, actually, it was 2020, November of 2020, right around the same time that the Hunter Biden laptop leak was being suppressed on Twitter. So it's interesting to see all this play out, especially from somebody who is a, content creator. I'm a journalist. I'm a talk show host. I create tons of content day in, day out. And just to see some of that stuff possibly threatened either through suppression or through just downright taking it down. It's kind of fascinating in the times we live in, and sometimes it feels like we're in 1984, and I'm the character sitting in the booth, watching different lines get replaced with other things. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future.